Welcome to Almost Heaven, Always Us. I'm Corey.
I'm Kelsey.
And today we have a dark, twisted, sick true crime story for you.
Ooh, true
about
crime. My fave.
the last public hanging in West Virginia. And it's a doozy, so I'm glad you're ready. You've got your blanket and your drink.
Yes.
But before we get into that story, we're going to give a little update about what's been going on in our lives over the last week.
You've had stuff going on.
I've had a pretty busy week, haven't I?
You have.
And I got to see a little bit extra of the state than what I usually do. I got to travel a little bit. I went on a sermon planning trip with the pastor and another fellow from church. But before we did that, we went down to Elkins and visited a pastor friend and your brother.
My brother, Jacob.
And your brother, because he goes to church there.
Yeah.
I went down to Elkins and got to spend time with your brother and our friend Pastor Roy down there.
Yeah.
And with my pastor, and my friend Chad went with us. And there was another gentleman there, Ricky, with us from their church. And we went to eat at that restaurant that we tried to eat at that one time.
Yeah, was it closed that day?
It was closed that day. We walked to it and it was
Sunday.
closed. But it was open this summer. I think it's called Beanards.
Beaners?
Beanards. I don't know. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah. Jacob, correct us.
He will correct us. And it's a good one. I had spaghetti. Everyone was shocked. And they're like, oh, he's going for spaghetti. Wow. Because they were doing like cheeseburgers and stuff. And I was like,
They got cheeseburgers
any
and
chance
you
I
got
can
spaghetti?
get some like homemade spaghetti, you know me, I do it. I send it. So yeah. So we did some planning. Then we took a lunch break. And then we walked over to another place to get coffee.
Did you get coffee?
No, I don't like coffee.
What did you get?
I didn't get anything.
You didn't get anything?
But the
Not even a
coffee store
water?
was attached to a market store. That's what I'm going to tell you. And I did get something there. I believe the market was called either Delmont or Del Monte Market. I don't know. It's in Elkins. But the coffee place was really cute if you like coffee. And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the name of it here in just a moment.
Yeah, I was very jealous you got to see Jacob and I didn't.
I
Because
knew
he's
that.
very elusive, you know? Like, you see him or you don't, and if you miss him, it's really sad if you miss him.
Yeah. It's called the Crossing Coffee Bar because it's near the railroad. Really
That
cute.
is cute.
We'll have to put some pictures up. There was a flower shop in there, Tammy's Floral.
This is like in the market
It's like all
area,
built
you say?
in one. So it's like one building, but there's like a big opening between the coffee side and the market side.
Okay.
And the flowers was like in the coffee side, but kind of off to the side doing its own thing. So you could get anything. You could get it all at once. You can go in, especially the Valentine's Day coming up. Go in there and get your flowers, get your coffee, and then go into the market.
That's what you should do for me.
Yeah. Well, if we lived in Elkins, I would. The market, though, so it was cool. They were selling like, I don't know the right word for it, but stuff that you would expect a store beside a railroad to
Yeah, like
sell.
Peddler's Crossing?
Yeah, but like I don't know how to describe. I don't know
Petersburg?
how to describe that. They had West Virginia pieces like artwork, candles, things like that. I don't know.
But it sounds like a market that like people come and they set up like things for them to sell.
Yeah,
For
they
like
have
individuals to
They
sell.
have
like
vendors
the Thrifty
throughout West Virginia,
Vendors,
I think.
yes.
I found this, and I'll put a
I was
better
really
picture.
excited
they
that
can see
you
it.
brought that home.
But this is our home county, Mon County. And so they had lots of counties there, lots of them. They didn't have Grant County. I was looking for Grant County, our home county, and they didn't have it. So I messaged the lady that made it. She had her business card in here. Lola Smith, creative lettering and hand drawn. She's out of Ravenswood. So I sent her a message, an email, and we'll see if she responds, but I'm trying to get Grant County.
Yeah, I would love that. We'll put them side by side.
I'll tell you the truth. I wanted every county that I saw. They were all beautiful, and I'd love to have all of them, but they're like,
Pay a few $100s.
they're not expensive for each one, but to get all 55 counties would add up and be like over $500. So if anybody wants to donate $500, that'd be cool because I'd love that.
Yeah, we'll take down our fireplace and we'll put them
I just
on
fill
the
the
wall.
wall with all the counties.
We'll put shelves up with our Mothmen and everything like that.
She also had like the whole state, like pieces of art with the whole state. And then I think she had some that were broke down, like the counties outlined within the state. But I thought the individual counties was cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat.
That is neat.
And there was a lot of detail, like in this Mon County one. She got the details. She got like all the major roads, the river, and then had like a little piece of art like to represent each area. So like WVU, she had the Mountaineer.
Yeah.
Cooper's Rock, she has the rock.
Yeah, we'll have a close-up.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I think all the ones I looked at looked like they had a lot of detail like that. Like she probably studied like each county and
yeah,
really
that takes a lot of time too.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. I see that she's a retired art teacher. So. Shout out Lowell Smith.
Yeah, and what a cute name too. By the way,
she's from Ravenswood, which is in Jackson County. The story that we're telling today, which we already planned before I even went to Elkins, also takes place in Jackson County in Ripley.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I'm not going to jump into it yet, but I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, what's the chances?
Yeah.
Spooky.
That is spooky.
After we left Elkins, we went to Canaan Valley in Tucker County, and it's beautiful all the time there. We were at the ski resort there.
Yeah.
I didn't ski. I don't like skiing.
I would never.
I hate skiing, actually. So some people might be upset. Well, you live in West Virginia, I like ski. But no, I don't. I hate it.
I don't. I mean,
well, I only tried it one time when I was a teenager, but I was terrible at it, and I fell down. And I wore like my favorite pants underneath my snowsuit, and they ripped my jeans. I didn't even know, like, till I got home and took off my snowsuit, and my jeans were all ripped.
You wore your snowsuit all the way home from where you were skiing?
Well, I don't know. I don't know when I took off the snowsuit. I didn't know that the pants ripped until I took off the snowsuit. And then I was like, what? For real? My favorite jeans. And then I said, that's it. I'm done.
Well, I know I broke both of my feet, so anything that involves like ice skating or rollerblading, like I just can't, like I'm scared to do anything like that anymore. I like to be just solid on the ground.
I hear you. This is a good drink. Where do we get this from?
It is Sheets.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to talk about your little trick
because
that you do now.
I like to go to Sheets, and you can, if you bring in your own container, you can purchase, there's like two options for like the refill, like under 30, I think it's like 32 ounces, and then between like 32 and 64 ounces. So I take my Yeti and I fill it up, or my Stanley, and fill it up. And then we come home and we split it up and drink it. And it's a lot.
So
like you get a lot. And it's only like $1.18 or something like that if you do it that way. It's cheaper than going and buying multiple little cups for us.
And look at us, cute.
And it's super hot. Like we waited like what?
Hour?
At an hour, something
Probably
like
over an hour.
And we cracked it open and the steam was rolling out of there. So Yeti and Stanley, they're both good.
Yeah, they are. This is really good. It's just creme brulee. It's probably as close to coffee that you would ever get.
Yeah, absolutely.
For you.
So then came home and went back to work. Been very busy.
Back to normal life.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. You ready to get into the story?
Yeah.
Or is there anything else you want to talk about first?
I don't think so. I mean, life's just been kind of busy. I feel like it's the same thing every week.
Yeah.
When you have 4 kids, you're just super busy and not really much exciting goes on.
So last week, we were playing that game, Fact or Fiction, West Virginia theme. And one of the questions on there was about the last public hanging.
Oh.
And it was fiction because it was claiming it was in the U.S. But the subtitle or whatever under the question that it was talking about was truly the last public hanging in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And so I saw that last week and I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. I'm going to look into that a little bit. And I looked into it and I was like, wow, that's actually a crazy story.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I hear stuff like that, I guess right from the beginning, I'm kind of like, somebody got hanged, okay. But like this story is actually like really wild. So wild, in fact, that it changed laws in West Virginia. Laws about public hanging. It was the last one for a reason.
Yeah.
After that, they were like, we can't do this anymore. We got to change some things.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know if people were just wilder back then.
I don't know.
Or what? I don't know. I feel like people really like true crime still, like today on like YouTube. So maybe if given the opportunity to kind of experience kind of a real life version, maybe they still would, because this is what happened here.
Like to watch it happen?
Yeah.
Could you watch a public hanging?
I think I could.
I think I could. It really just depends. Like, yeah. Would you perform one?
What kind of question is that?
Just kidding.
All right, so you ready to get into the story?
Yeah.
All right, let's do
go.
it. Before we get into the story, one last thing. You wanted to talk about my hat. I broke out my first Branded Bills hat today.
What is it? Original leather? Is that what it is? It's a leather patch. Your first
of West
Brandon bill.
Virginia, but it has the American flag on it. This was the first. And how many do I have now? Brandon Bill's hats?
It's
Probably
uncountable.
40.
A lot.
Something like that.
A lot.
But this was number one.
Yep, the
And you
start
got
of your
it for
Brandon
me
bills.
for my birthday.
Yep. Because my brother Levi, when he was living here at the time, he had a Brandon Bill hat. I was like, man, I think I heard you say, I like your hat. And I was like, I got to get him this hat.
They're pretty
I really
cool.
like it.
They're pretty cool. I like them.
They are very cool. Highly recommend.
Absolutely. All right. This story that changed West Virginia history.
Oh my gosh.
1897. Our story starts with this shady John Morgan.
Okay.
John F. Morgan. He's a shifty character, they called him. He's one of those type. I don't want to say any names, okay? But there's certain people you can think of when you think of certain towns that you're like, you know this character from that town, right? There's towns in West Virginia where everybody knows that person. And that person's like a character. They kind of walk around. Anytime you go out somewhere, you see them. Well, they are, right?
Yeah,
They're all
I
often
know.
walking. And if you go to McDonald's or wherever you're going, you see them, right? You know who I'm talking about. You can think of some examples.
Yeah.
And usually they're harmless. Most of the time they're harmless. Then
They're so crazy.
occasionally they do something. And then you hear about it and you're like, I'm not really that surprised.
I know.
That
It's to
kind
be
of makes sense
expected.
because, yeah, they were kind of nuts. But for years, you don't care. Nobody cared for years because they were the town character. They show up during the parade. They're in the parade, you know. Usually they have a job in the parade. Like they're following the horses, you know. Yeah. Yeah. See?
Cleaning up the horse.
And see, this, I don't even know if you
Feces.
know that, but he got in trouble.
For doing that?
No, not for doing that. They loved him doing that. Cleaning up the horse
What
field
did he
was
get
a
in
great
trouble
job.
for?
I'm not gonna. Well, I said I'm not going to say any names.
All right.
But you get the idea, right? They're harmless. They're nice. They're in the parade.
They have a
Everybody
name
in
that's
town,
like an
they have
animal
like an
name.
animal name. They always have like an animal name or some kind of nickname. No one knows their real name.
Yeah.
No one has a clue.
Yeah.
You don't know where they came from. You don't know who's their kinfolk. You don't know who they belong to. You don't even know if they're from the town originally. I don't think so. Usually they just kind of showed up one day. They have some kind of animal name or some kind of nickname. They're pretty much harmless. They're kind of funny. Like they'll talk to you and you chuckle.
Yeah.
Right? They're harmless. But then one day you're like, oh, they actually did this. And you're like, oh man, that's kind of dark. I didn't know they were
and now
capable
you're a little
of it.
scared of them, and it just kind of ruins
Yeah.
their image for you.
Right. Like, I hate when that happens. So this is what we got. Except for he didn't have an animal name or a nickname as far as I know. John F. Morgan. But he was that kind of person. So now you've got the image. You got it. So he's all over the place in town. You know what I mean? He's not going to be in one spot. He's all over. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
He's whoever's letting him stay in the house that night. That's where he's staying. He struck up a friendship with a widowed lady named Chloe Green. And Chloe had 3 kids. She had 2 kids, 2 daughters, 2 kind of older daughters, like teenage daughters, from a previous marriage. And then she had a young son from her latest marriage. Now, I'm not sure where her current husband, I guess he was dead because she was a widow. So she must have had a previous marriage and then her last husband died. So she's a widow, 1897, 3 kids. And he's a handyman because he's the person that's everywhere. So
Yeah, you
he
gotta
can
do
do
something.
stuff. He can do stuff for anybody. Anybody, you need a weird job, he's going to be there. He can do it.
Yeah.
So he'd been doing some work for her for a while. And so she let him stay there. He'd been staying with her for a while, and he seems harmless. And then one day he gets this desire, to kill, and so he's out at the shed with the young boy, and he takes a machete and he makes this young boy not live anymore.
Oh my
unalive.
gosh. What the heck? This is really sad.
And
I
so
didn't think it was going to
then
be
he
like this.
And now he's like, well, I guess I'm a killer. So he goes inside, and the one daughter's washing dishes, so she has her back to him. And he walks up, and he gets her in the back of the head with a machete. Then he goes
This
into...
is so not on like brand for you.
No,
this is kind of scary.
I'm not going to focus on this part very much. I'm just trying to paint a picture here. He goes in, kills Chloe, and then goes to the last room.
He kills the mom?
And kills the other daughter.
So all of them.
He thought all of them. It turns out the one daughter, the first daughter that he struck, so he kills the boy, strikes the daughter, and then kills the mom and the other daughter. The other daughter that he thought he killed, she did not die. And she
That he hit in the
escapes while, he got her in the head, but she didn't die. And she runs away while he's finishing the other 2. So he thought that he was done. He's like, I just killed this whole family. And she escapes, and she tells on him, and they arrest him pretty quickly. Like, it doesn't last very long.
Thank God. I thought this was going to be like
No, they got him.
manhunt situation.
Yeah, let's see. I want to give the names. I got to shout out this daughter because, good for her. Matilda was the daughter that passed. James was the boy that passed. Miss Green passed. Alice survived a skull fracturing batch from the hatchet. Yeah. And it's because of her testimony that he was caught. Otherwise, they speculate that they would have never found out. They would have just been like, it was some random killing they'd ever known. So things went really fast from there, really fast. They basically hold trial the next day, and then they find him guilty. And then the day after that, they give him the sentencing. So like we're talking like 2 days. The justice system works in like 2 days, and it's a done deal. He's getting. And
that's how it needs to be
the
today.
execution. Yeah, they're not fooling around. The whole process is quick. This happened in November, the killings, and the execution is now scheduled for December, a month later. So they're not wasting any time. I read in one of the sources, this is something that I think is kind of wild. They said that the town would have taken care of it if the justice system didn't.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The town was like, yeah, like, whatever happens, whatever, they sentence him to, it doesn't matter, we're going to take him out and hang him anyway. So the judge was like, well, then I'll just do a hanging because that's going to happen. It's just wild to me to think that there was a time period, really not that long ago, 1897, that was only 3 years before the 1900s, that the whole town would just take business in their own hands.
Yeah.
We'll take care of it. We'll go hang this guy. No one would ever do that today.
Yeah.
No town's doing that today. Isn't that wild to think like only 130 years ago it was that different where people would take justice into their own hands. Anyway, didn't need to because they're moving quick. Justice system's moving quick. The sheriff says, I'm going to build the gallows. I think that's funny too. So it's the sheriff.
Build 'em?
The sheriff is not only the sheriff, like it's his job. He has to build the gallows. So he's like carpenter too. Like I love these old stories about like the sheriffs. Every story we've heard so far about these sheriffs, they're always just like these stand-up guys that are like not afraid of anything. Like, they're not afraid of the people, and they're always having to. That's what I like. That other story we had, the Greenbrier Ghost. Do you remember that? The sheriff had to like, get on to the people and like, hey, we're handling it. Don't And then they're like, we'll kill you, and he's like, no, you won't. Calm down. These sheriffs are always fighting everybody, like the criminals and the town people.
Yeah.
But they're always trying to remind everybody, I'm in charge, I got it. It's no different here. It's the same thing happened. This crowd, they're kind of getting on to the sheriff. Let me back up a little bit, though, so you understand why. So he's in jail, and he pled insanity and said that he just had this desire come over him that he'd never had before and he'd never had since. He said it was just like a one-time thing. Like, I just got this desire. And I didn't even know. I couldn't help it. I saw that hatchet, and I was like, well, it's a good idea to go on a killing spree here.
Oh, my God.
And then he's like, as soon as I did it, I shouldn't have done that. Man, that was crazy. He admitted like he was crazy. So he was hoping to get an insanity plea. But they said even his lawyers were not helping him because they were like, the crowd's going to kill you.
Yeah.
We don't want to be a part of it. So you're basically on your own, John. So John is in prison, or in the town jail, and he starts singing these hymns. And this is the part I think that gets it. This is what is the beginning of the start of the chaos of this public hanging. So far, I mean, it's a brutal murder and everything. Crazy story. But what really makes it crazy starts right here. This is what gets people interested. And this is why the news travels. John starts claiming that he's not going to hang, declaring it like a matter of fact to everybody. The newspapers come in. He's not even worried about it. He's like, nope, I'm not hanging. And they're like, well, what do you mean, why not? And he's like, I'm not. He's so sure. He's 100% sure. So the people start finding out, so then they get like, freaked out. Hey, what the heck? He's not gonna get his justice. They're all upset about it. The sheriff's like, well, don't pay any attention to him. He's just a crazy person. But every time they ask him, he's like, nope, it's not gonna happen. I'm not hanging. I'm telling you right now.
It's like, what does he know that we don't know?
Right. So that's what the people are like. They're like, wait a second, what?
Yeah.
Because he's so sure. Like, he's so confident. It's like, does he know something that we don't know? And he escapes. He escapes prison or to jail. He escapes the jail. And for 2 days,
He should have been like
for
under
2 days. Yeah, I don't even know how he
surveillance.
got out, but he got out. And for 2 days there was a manhunt, but they caught him again.
I knew a manhunt was going to.
They got him and they put him back in jail. And remember, it's only a month scheduled between. So this happens. Well, now everybody hears about it. Like, the whole state has heard. Like, this man is so sure he's not going to hang. He's already escaped once, but they've caught him again. He's still saying it. They've put him back in jail. And like, now what? We got you. And he's like, I'm still not going to hang. But then he kind of changed his tune a little bit. I thought it was interesting. He was like, but if I do hang, it's not going to be on that day. I thought that was funny. So he's throwing a little curveball in there. Like, maybe I will, but not the day you think I will. And he's like, I promise you that. It's not going to be that day. Which I think it was like December 12th, I want to say. I'll double check it, but I think it was like December 12th. He's like, it's not going to be December 12th. I can promise you that. And he keeps singing these hymns and stuff, these Christian hymns, and just making everybody feel weird. And Nikki, like, this dude's out here singing hymns. He's saying he's not going to hang. So the town's getting really upset. They tell the sheriff, just let us go out and hang him. We don't trust you to do it. And he says, now y'all settle down. He's one of those type of sheriff, you know, like an Andy Griffith. That's what
I'm picturing the whole time. They're like their little town jail.
He's like, you all need to calm down. Yeah, he got out once, but we got him. I'm building the gallows myself. And he assured him, I promise you, on my life, he will hang, and he will hang on December 12th. No question. He's just blowing smoke, and he's getting you all riled up. But I swear to you, he said, I'm going to take care of it. So normally these things, these public hangings, would attract some attention from some people that like the morbid. But this one, this news went out all over West Virginia. Jackson County is on the border of Ohio. Ohio River, so a lot of Ohio even had heard about it. The town at the time of Ripley, it's currently around 3,000 population. At the time, it was 500 people. 5,000 people showed up on the day of the scheduled hanging. 5,000 people. Yeah. People had started traveling 60 days prior to come see it. They came from counties away, multiple counties away, to see this. And this is kind of thing. This is 1897. They're riding horses. I read that because there was so much traffic.
Think about traffic,
horse traffic
while you're riding horses.
Yeah, that's what I mean, horse traffic.
Yeah.
There was so much horse traffic that everything was muddy from where the horses ran through. These horses are coming through. They're throwing mud everywhere. And the people just keep coming. And some of them got wagons. They're bringing their whole family in a wagon. They're watching a show.
Yeah.
And all the hotels are booked up in Ripley and like even the surrounding towns. The hotels are booking up that they don't have enough room for them. Then just people start showing up, random people like selling stuff. You know how when we go to like a parade and people will have a cart and push it down the street, but they're not really part of it.
Lightsaber.
Yeah, it's like that.
Wand.
These people showed up selling souvenirs. And they tried to get a confession out of John, like, why'd you do it? And he kept changing his story because he was crazy, right? And he gave like 12 different accounts basically of and he had all sorts of stories. Things from like he was trying to be romantically involved with one of the sisters to like he was trying to steal $56 from the family. He just kept he had a different story every day.
Yeah, it's like the Joker.
So yeah, this guy, he just wanted this chaos basically. And I think he kind of liked it, the chaos and keeping people on their toes and saying, I'm not going to hang.
Yeah.
So it's the day of the supposed hanging, where he says it's not going to happen, and definitely not going to happen on this day. These people show up in town, and they're selling souvenirs. So they're like, we have his last confession, the latest one right here, and we'll sell it to you.
Oh my gosh.
Another one had the very descriptive tale of the murders. You want the most descriptive tale of the slaughter of the Green family? We're selling it, yeah. So they're really taking this and marketing it, you know, taking advantage of an opportunity.
Selling a devastating...
They were selling all sorts of trinkets.
Yeah. They're
selling anything. They had people showed up with coins. They had a Punch and Judy show. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
I never even heard of that before. I had to look that one up. A Punch and Judy show.
Yeah, you mentioned it to me, and I didn't know. I've seen it, but I didn't know that's what it was called. It's like a puppet show. Yeah. A one-man puppet show that controls two characters named Punch and Judy, and they're supposed to be married. Punch and Judy.
And they fight each other the whole time. Like, they slap each other, and that's why it's funny, and people like it. So one of those was there, and like, people were playing this guy, like, because they thought it was so funny, and they're laughing. And everybody's like, making a joke about it. It's basically turned into a carnival. Yeah. Because of the crowd and carnival is what it went to. The crime led to a carnival, a crowd and carnival. I was reading an article. This is the original article posted in 1897, right afterward. The county newspaper wrote an article. So it was written in 1897, so it was very non-politically correct. And I loved it, though, because they were interviewing people in the town. And even their quotes was so, like, 1890. Like, it was almost like Old English. They were saying, like, ye even, or yay, like, or reckon, and things like that, like, that you don't hear very much anymore. And shettin'. Everybody kept saying shettin', and I never heard of that before. But I guess that almost means like, getting rid of. Like, we're here for the shettin' of John Morgan. Like, the getting rid of him is what I looked up. But the one part that was like crazy, and the newspaper tells it in great detail, and I'm going to try my best to not be offensive here, but there was an African-American man who came, and he was one of the salespeople. He was the one running the Punch and Judy show. And he was like racist But I think he was doing it on purpose to make the crowd laugh. Like, he was racist against black people, but he was black. And he kept saying racist comments about, like, black people.
Yeah.
Like, they all look the same, and he's like, look at me, don't I look like the rest of them? Like, just this terrible stuff. And he was talking about, like, black people hanging from trees and stuff. And they said the crowd was just, like, thought he was so funny. He was like, he's basically being a comedian.
Yeah.
He's almost like the Chappelle. Like, remember the Chappelle where he was a white supremacist?
Yeah.
A black white supremacist? It was like that, except for he wasn't blind. But I think that he was doing it on purpose, because they said they kept giving him money. If he would say something funny, they would, like, throw money at him. So he was like a comedian, basically. Yeah. I don't think he was, like, actually racist. He's just like, here's an opportunity to make some money.
Yeah, these white people give me anything if I say this.
And then there was a couple other vendors in the newspaper described them as Hebrew. So, yeah, this very non-politically correct newspaper. I have the article, and I'm not going to read the worst parts, but there are some quotes and stuff that I want to read, just because they're really good, and just to make sure that I'm getting the scene pretty much correct. But yeah, Sheriff Shin, by the way, is the sheriff's name. Good guy. They said the lot was a natural theater, so they picked a spot. The sheriff knew, like, ahead of time, he knew that this is going to bring a huge crowd, so we need to pick a spot. So they picked like a wide open, like 10-acre area, and that's where he put the gallows. So basically, it was set up like a theater. People are spread out, and they're watching like a main event, like you would go to a concert or something, you know. And he knew that, so he set it up for that. It said it was a jolly night in Ripley, so like jolly. People were having fun. You know, a theater crew came in, an acting theater, and they did plays that were basically about executions.
Oh my god!
To entertain the crowd, to like prep them, to prime them.
Yeah,
they're like the warm-up event or whatever, the opening act, if you will. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So you got to think. It says here, last and only true confession of John Morgan someone was selling. He said only 5, 10, 15 cents. And like they're yelling that stuff out, like 15 cents, get your paper here, you know, get your.
Well, they had to get this stuff, like,
here.
if things were going pretty quickly, they had to get this stuff together pretty quickly.
And our Punch and Judy man, he had a banjo, and he would sing songs. And his songs, it said the people would bawl in laughter after he would sing them. Like, he was so funny. I want to tell you the lyrics of the song, but I don't think that I can, because for reasons. But. I'll say some of it and leave out some of it, but basically he says, ladies and gentlemen, and he's singing it with a banjo and playing a banjo. So picture it like that. I'm not going to sing it, but ladies and gentlemen, this old man has come to town to see what he's got. Here's the beautiful little pocketbook worth 25 cents. And we'll put in the solid gold button. And, oh wait, this is when he's still selling. But no, he has some songs. Let me get to a song. Hold on.
Okay. A solid gold button.
Oh, so the prosecuting attorney, who is a real serious man, he's there in a suit and he's dressed up and he's like, what's going on? So he's mad at like the salespeople. He's like, you all are, what are you doing? So he tells our Punch and Judy man, you're a disgrace, basically. Yeah. And he said, I know you people. You come around here swindling us citizens. You're nothing but buzzard preying up on the carcass of the public. He's talking to all the salespeople. I say you're a buzzard preying upon the carcass of the public. You've got no license to sell. Punch and Judy man says, ain't I? And he holds up a paper in his face, and then he dances a jig, and he sings a song, Johnny, get your gun, get your gun. Oh, yeah, I can't say that. Oh, Eliza Jane, what makes your face look so plain? And then he went on with the song, swinging his banjo in the face of the prosecutor. Yep. And he says, all African-American folks look like me. There was never such a bargain in your life. I'm like really trying to edit the words here. I'm trying my best to not be offensive. But anyway, I think you get the picture, right? You getting the picture? I'm painting the picture. Movie. This is it's like a movie.
Man, I wish they would make a movie out of this.
This story is a good story, isn't it? It's an interesting story. Oh, here we go. So here comes John Morgan again, the star of the show. He's still singing his hymns. So then Punch and Judy man starts singing about him singing. He says, oh, he's a singing for his precious soul. He's a singing for his precious soul, but I tell you, child, he'd better make his peace with Satan, 'cause he's going to meet him in just about a minute. Ew. Oh, Eliza Jane, what makes your face look so plain? And it says the crowd shouted and roared with laughter, and they threw money at him, forgetting about the wretched event to come. Just having a good time. Everybody's having a good time.
Wow.
8 o'clock came, then 9, the crowd was greater. A wild rumor started around town that the governor had pardoned Morgan.
No.
Just as he had claimed he wouldn't hang on this, at least not this day. So everybody got real excited in a bad way.
Yeah, I wonder if
Like,
that was spread
they're
just
like,
to
"Oh,
get like
no."
another type of reaction out of the crowd.
I wonder. And they go to the sheriff, and they're all upset. And he says, "Boys, he'll hang. Now don't you fear. When Owen Shin gives you his word, he'll hang." This is what the sheriff said. Sheriff Shin. I like him already, don't you? Boys, I'm
I
going
hope
to tell
this
you what,
doesn't
he's
go
gonna
into
hang.
a different direction with him. I'm talking about like the sheriff. Like I hope that he doesn't change into like a bad guy. Is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
no. He's a good man. This is out of the newspaper, the original newspaper in 1897. It says, "To our readers, it might seem like bloodthirsty talk, but it was explained fully by one of the deputies." So here's a quote. I wanted to read some of these quotes. "Now I'll tell ye," I guess, ye. "I'll tell ye, this here crowd came to see a hanging. Some of them started as much as 60 hours ago, and they traveled as much as 100 miles to see a hanging. Do you see? And they ain't gonna have their fun spoiled. And well, I tell ye, there's gonna be a hanging anyway, and the sheriff, he'd rather have done it regular than to wait and take chances. Well, as I say, there's gonna be a hanging anyway, you understand?" That's what the deputy says to the newspaper. Here says John, "The mistakes of my life have been many, the sins of my heart have been more, and I scarce can see for weeping, but I'll knock at the open door." So he's very poetic the whole time, still singing his hymns. "Ladies and gentlemen, the hanging is about to come off. We'll start from the jail in a few minutes," says the sheriff. And they start to march toward the gallows. So over at the gallows, they had built a heavy barbed wire fence around the gallows to keep the crowd out.
Oh my gosh.
We've got 5,000 people. So this is almost like a wrestling match. Like,
Yeah.
there's like a ring around the gallows and the people,
Do you have a visual of that we can put up?
I do. It's like a really old photo, but I have a shot of it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know how well you can see it, but all the trees, the young boys and stuff had climbed up the trees in there so they get that better view. Sheriff Finn assured the reporter again, "I tell you, my boy, when you see that place, you'll just say it's made for a hanging. It was intended for a hanging from the first. Why, it's quite the regular amphitheater. That's what you call it, ain't it?" That's what he said. It says, "The women were pressed as close to the front as the men did. They were just as eager to see." Probably more so. Women love that true crime stuff.
Yeah, we do.
They march down to the gallows, and the crowd starts talking about John as they see him. "Here, here," shouted someone in the crowd. "Look at him. Ain't he scared?" The voice of one clergyman saying, "The Savior comes and walks with me, and sweet communion we have here." So there was a bunch of pastors, and they're trying to preach too. Pastors are preaching, people are selling, people are commenting on John. John, he's still singing, but he's a lot less confident at this point. They said he's starting to, you can see it in his face. He's like, yeah.
Man, this is really happening.
He's
to
like,
me.
"I'm about to hang." He said, "Daggone. I told everybody I wouldn't, but here we go."
Man, I was manifesting
And
that.
here, I just wanted to pause just for one moment and like get your mindset. Now, so John is clearly a bad guy. He deserves
Yeah,
this.
clearly.
But in this moment of time, walking around and you see 5,000 people came to watch you die. You in particular die. What do you have to be thinking in his mind as he's marching there and sees 5,000 people and the carnival that it become? You got all these salespeople. And he's like, all these people came and watch me die. He's like, here in a little bit, I'm going to be dead. And like all these people were like basically cheering and having a party. I'm not taking up for him. He deserved it. But what I'm saying is, what had to be going through his mind at that time? What do you think?
I don't know. He was probably like, I want to sit down and watch this Punch and Judy show real quick.
Yeah, they should have let him. But not Sheriff Shin. He got business to attend to. All right. So they march him up, and the preachers are preaching. It's kind of weird, too. There's an official preacher at the gallows, like preaching as it's about to happen. Because this is common. These public hangings are common still at this point. So he's still singing, John. He sings another song. The same one we said a little bit of. "Mistakes of my life have been many. The sins of my heart have been more. And I scarce can see for weeping, but I'm knocking at the open door." So here we are. 5,000 people. We're ready. And they're still selling fresh roasted peanuts, 5 cents a quart.
Oh, dang.
And gamblers cried, "It's all right, good people. In a half an hour, they're going to shut him off." Shut. There's that word, shut again. They love shut. "Here's your fortune right here," they said. So there's gamblers like betting on what time he's going to hang and everything else. Jeez. This is just some real debauchery at this point. Well, it was difficult, it said, just to get through the mob, to get there for the sheriff. He's trying to get to the gallows because he's the one doing the job. He said he'd do it, so he's going to do it. It said, "A perfect day. The sun was shining bright. A warm day, a beautiful day for a crowd." I saw somewhere else one of the comments from I guess the reporter asked somebody, and he said, "You ain't never seen 2 county fairs with this many people, like 2 combined, 2 separate county fairs put together. Our fair's got it beat here, our execution fair." Yeah. One minister prayed first, and the second prayed for 15 minutes, and then recited the crime of Morgan. And every few minutes, John would say, "Oh Lord, in another minute, this poor sinner will be launched into eternity." And it was time for his last speech. The crowd yelled, "Speech, speech." And the sheriff gave him a chance and said, "Is there anything you'd like to say?" He said, "I'd like to say a lot, but I can't." So I don't know what that means, but suddenly the crowd says, "Hot roasted peanuts, 5 cents a bag." They're still not done selling. He won't speech, but here's what he should say, someone says, and they start repeating, some of the crimes. And a dozen or so in the crowd are hissing at him, it says, and they're saying, "Go ahead and get him." So he begins to speak. He says, "Are you ready?" And his voice is shaking. It says he's all choked up, and the words are coming out stuttering. "I bid farewell. I bid you all goodbye." He paused. He raises the handcuffs up and down, and he says a choke between each word. "This ought God help and forbid any young man." And he pauses again. "God help and forbid any young man going and acting as I have done. Goodbye, goodbye." Then there was a silence. It says a quiet silence for once. The first time all day, a silence. Save for the babies and the horses. Babies crying and the horses neighing. Because there's horses all over the place. Everybody rode on a horse. There's like 1,000 horses there. Dogs barking in the background. Babies crying. But other than that, everybody's quiet. And it says, then all of a sudden, they start up again. "Slaughter of the Green family, fully described right here. Come and get it, 10 cents. Confessions of John Morgan, his last confessions." And one woman in the crowd shouts, "Goodbye, John. That's from your sister, Ida."
Oh.
So his sister sent word through this lady.
Yeah.
And he was hung. They hung him right then and there. "You boys stand back and give everybody a show." "Good for you, Sheriff," they said. "You did what you said you was going to do." And person yelled out, they had a doctor up there too. Person yelled at the doctor.
Make sure.
Yeah. "Hey, Doc, when he gets dead, tell us, will you?" The doctor turns around and says, "He's dead, all right. Dead enough." Someone
Dead
says,
enough.
"He ought to have died 5 years ago." "Yeah, anybody who'd kill a woman. Give us a look at him. Ain't you going to take off his hat?"
Oh, wait, he had his head covered with like a... Well, sometimes they do
I don't
that.
know. It's his hat. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, said that was it. The voice of the salesman died down. They knew the show was over. Everybody pretty much dispersed immediately. They said, that was the show.
Cool.
Go on home. Sheriff says, "Go back home."
Yeah.
There's nowhere to stay here in Ripley. The hotels are full. So they start traveling back. 60 hours.
But that was like a huge relief to the community. Like they like the original community that was really like outraged.
Yeah. So
I think the other people were just like,
the
let's
whole
go see a
thing
movie.
was such a
Everyone's going to be there.
crap show that 1 year later, the state of West Virginia outlaws public hangings, and it's because of
that?
Because of this event. They said that got so out of hand and so crazy that had to be the last one.
Wow.
Now, that wasn't the end of executions, although it eventually, West Virginia would ban capital punishment, and still is. There's no death penalty in West Virginia. But there was still death penalty for a while, but the public executions ended there. That was it. They died in 1897 with John Morgan. And guess where they started doing the non-public executions, the private executions?
Like hangings?
Where, though?
Where? Morgantown.
No, Moundsville State Penitentiary. Because it comes up like in every story that we tell for some reason.
Yeah, that and Mothman. And it'll
Mothman.
never stop.
And Mothman was watching in the crowd. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking.
Maybe he was. We don't know.
So that's the story. And it changed West Virginia history forever.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't because they were sympathetic. It wasn't like, oh, this is cruel. It was because it was like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what just happened here? Like, yeah, think about like an event, like a Super Bowl weekend, because it's on Super Bowl Sunday, right? Like, and how people descend on a town.
Yeah.
Except for this was a town of 500 people, a tiny town, Ripley, but it was like the same feel. Everyone's descending on this town for this main event show.
Yeah.
But, the show is the execution of a person.
Yeah. I feel like it would be like, how there's like tons and tons of trash left behind in New York City, like after the New Year's Eve. Like it's probably like that. Because are they going to have trash cans? There's probably like peanut baggies and everything else like all over the place, like trash. I'm sure it was filthy. And then it's muddy.
Yeah.
Probably made like
yeah.
a humongous mess.
Yeah. Think that's movie worthy?
I do.
Who would play John Morgan?
100% you. And I'm the
I'm
executioner.
gonna be the sheriff. Come on. I'll be the Punch and Judy. So.
No, you couldn't do that.
That's right, I couldn't.
You literally couldn't
can't
biologically
do that.
and everything.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd be the little boy that got the hatchet.
No.
That took the hatchet first.
No.
That made all of this possible. Yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
That was a really sad story.
It was
I know it's
sad. Was there any good of the story at all?
that he died. Thought he was hung.
Yeah. I don't know. Should I link the newspaper article and let people read it?
Yeah.
It's very outdated.
It's not like we wrote it.
It's very outdated.
Yeah. This is historical documentation.
Yeah.
It's
is.
fun and it's okay.
Yeah. Right.
It's not okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's okay for us to post.
That's why I love those old articles because of that. That's like the real story. Because I feel like these stories get retold so many times and details and stuff. But if you go back and can find like the real story.
Yeah, I love that. And especially
this is what happened. And it really described like the feel, because these people were actually there, these reporters, and saw it. We can hear what actually happened.
Yeah, we'll post it.
But anyway, Ripley and this lady, Lola, from Ravenswood. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is weird. It's weird.
Yeah. Did you like that one?
I did. That was
So
weird.
now that I've told you the story, what I want to know is your social commentary.
My social commentary.
What do you have into great detail and describe how that story makes you feel? What's the takeaways there? What is your takeaway about the human nature, the being of humankind? West Virginians in particular.
West Virginians in particular? I don't know.
I think people like true crime. They always did.
People like true crime. I like true crime. You think it's weird.
I'm not a fan.
You think it's weird that people like true crime.
I do. I like this one, though, because I think it's historical, but I don't like modern true crime. But people evidently liked it even back then because they were selling this story, basically, the details of the story.
Yeah. The reason why I like true crime is like the people who are killers or like whatever. It's like what makes them want to do that? What gets them to that point? What happened throughout their life?
So what happened to John Morgan?
I don't know. We don't know.
Well, I think he just went crazy. He said it himself. It's like, I just had the
Yeah,
urge
well,
to kill.
obviously. And then people like that, the only color just, well, he probably had a severe mental disorder.
Well, he was the town character.
Yeah.
Already.
I mean, I
He
could have
was
been
the
the
one-
town character.
He was the one picking up the poop behind the horses.
Someone was like, hey, you should probably be medicated, you know?
Yeah.
How many people from the 1800s and early 1900s could have just been fixed with like, you know, oh, you have a severe mental disorder. Here, let's help you.
I think also humankind was also a lot more brutal. Like as a society, we're getting like gentler, and I think that's a good thing. But just like it was brutal. Like just the fact that like the crowd would be like, we'll hang him, we don't care.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it, Sheriff, we'll take care of it. And even the Greenbrier ghost story, like they were ready to hang Trout immediately. Like, let's go get him.
I would too.
Yeah, but like that don't happen today. Crowds don't do that.
Yeah.
So I guess that means we're advancing.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I could go back to some old practices.
I mean, justice was swift. It was all took place in a
That's
month.
what has to happen. Like justice needs to
we
be
have to
swift.
visit that for just one moment. The fact that he was so confident was like, I'm not going to hang, but if I do, it won't be on that day.
Yeah,
And then
that's
he
weird.
Hung on that day. Like, so
I wonder if he's like
he was
planning,
just flat
like,
out
how
wrong.
can I delay it just by one
Yeah.
day even to make him
So when
wrong?
he got the hell from Satan, he's like,
Gotcha.
man, I was wrong.
Gotcha. Satan.
Satan said
Like,
it.
boy, I
Yeah,
got you. It's
got you.
12.
That man was singing the song with banjo, like, you about to meet Satan, boy.
That's
Keep singing your songs, you're going to
scary.
see Satan. That's scary, isn't it?
That is scary.
Wow.
I don't like to think about that.
Wow.
And I heard today that having like a, what is it called? Like a pop culture moment, like thinking about how that justice was swift.
Yeah.
And this is completely different, but the Blake Lively and the what is his last name? Baldoni?
Yeah,
Whatever his name
Right.
is. I don't care that much. Their court case isn't until, I think, March or May
I feel
2026.
yeah, that's so far. Like nothing's swift anymore.
Like, what is
Everything
happening?
takes
Not
like
that
forever.
one's like that big of a deal. It probably
Right,
shouldn't
but
even
that's
be
like
anything.
everything. Like even executions and stuff like that, it take like 25
Yeah.
years. Like if somebody gets the death penalty, it's like 25 years later.
Yeah, like the OJ
Yeah.
case, whenever the jurors, like they were taken away from their families for like months and months, like almost, what was it, 6 months to a year?
Yeah.
They were staying in like a hotel.
That's
And
crazy,
it's
isn't
like,
it?
why? Why did that take so long?
Yeah.
It's insane. And then the outcome,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
he either did or he didn't. I don't know what you all think. The glove didn't fit.
Oh, he definitely did. Are you serious?
Obviously, I'm just kidding. But that's what he said.
Well, I thought that was an interesting one. I hope that you guys liked it.
Yeah.
If you like that and you like more stories like that, want to hear some more stories like that, or just whatever nonsense we're throwing at you,
Maybe I'll tell one.
Maybe
You're
she'll
just a
tell
good
one.
storyteller.
I don't know about that,
You
but
are. And I like to listen.
I like to talk and she likes to listen.
You like to dance, I like to watch you dance.
The Office.
Yeah, the office.
Yep. If you love West Virginia as much as we do us a favor, please, and tell your friends to
Please.
come check us out. If this video gets 50 likes, we will give out a Mothman. I've showed it before, a 3D printed Mothman.
Yeah.
We will give one out if we can hit 50 likes. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.